Hello and welcome to the Short Convos podcast. I am one of your hosts. Do we call ourselves hosts? Is that something we've said before?
I don't know. I suppose
We're
I'm going to check
hosts.
and keep them busy for a sec as I quickly check.
Well, I am one of your hosts, as Miralai, and checking on whether or not we are your hosts and if that is the accurate terminology for what we're saying is Mr. JC Warrior of Light Cashman. And
A a host is a party giver, an entertainer, hostess, a master of ceremonies, an MC, an anchor man, an anchor woman, an announcer, link person, presenter, compare, or MC. We're a host
we're
because
hosts. We're
we're
hosting.
party givers and entertainers.
Welcome. Well, we have been introduced. We have been hosted, and we are here.
Yes, we are.
Dude, are we starting with screen time? Is that where we're beginning the journey today?
Well, that's where we left off last week. So, if there is a continuality between these podcasts, then shall we pick up from there? How should we start? Would you like to avail where you're at, or shall I talk about where I've come to?
Well, you kind of introduced me to it last week, I guess, because mine was
Yeah.
switched off and everything anyway. So I tried, as I said, to just go as normal and not minimize anything or affect anything. But that being said, I know that I definitely was suddenly very aware of it simply because
Okay.
we were going to talk about it. Not that I was trying to manipulate it, but I just found myself questioning myself more every time I picked up my phone. I was like, do I need to pick this up right now? Do I need to look at anything? So I
Okay.
definitely felt a thing. But in that sense, it was really good because it just brought awareness to me using my tech. So I would say that my numbers are probably lower than what they would have been if I just had it on. But I haven't really looked at them either. So I've not been like every day checking in and seeing what the deal is with it. So we can go
Well,
through it.
yeah, let's go through it. Well, I've in comparison, so this week I have been very aware and monitoring, and I've had settings in place. So for those that didn't join us last week on our podcast, you're not caught up. We were both discussing the feature film or the documentary film. Excuse me, Social Dilemma, and how this is last week's podcast about it, and how we've decided to follow up on it. So this week, as a complete week, because I didn't realize the app does it by Monday to Saturday, so I did start on Wednesday last week, but I've only got like a week stat for this week so far, and
Okay.
I've managed to stay under 30 minutes every day on social. So today, which is day 3, I'm on an hour and 21. So obviously it would be 90 minutes of total. So I've actually stayed way under using the tools on the screen and things like that. And my overall screen time, everything is down. But how does it compare to your numbers? Because I've got you down last week, a guess, a daily average of 6.5 hours.
Okay, so I'm looking at this week as in Monday to Wednesday, and we had 5 hours 52 minutes. So
Okay.
about where we
That's not,
said.
yeah.
Where
Daily
were you
pickups,
before when you first looked at this? Like
where
at
was
your
I
peak?
before? So at my peak, looking at it as a week comparison, so I'm averaging an hour, half an hour a day on social, and this includes text and that as well. I made some little notes actually,
Mhm.
but the week before, I'd already done half the week. I was on the social for a whole week of nearly 6 hours, so that's a good
Right.
almost hour a day. The
What was
following
your daily usage like in total screen usage? Because that was my
screen
5.5 was my screen usage. Socials was an hour and a half.
hour and a half a day
Yeah,
on
daily.
that.
Am
Uh,
I right? Yeah.
mine, mine last week. One moment, I've jumped out the wrong didgeridoo here. So my daily use, and this is across all my devices as well. Have you got it synced
Yeah,
to all your
same.
devices?
Yeah.
Was between, as an average, was 7 hours.
Right. Yeah, so I'm about an hour under, but like I said, that's kind of with the niggle in my head that we were looking at this thing. And I guess the things it doesn't take, this is what I was thinking, things like TVs are not taken into consideration with it. So if you watch a film, that's another hour and a half of screen time
Yeah,
on your
of
day, isn't
course.
it?
Yeah,
So,
it's NFL season at the moment, so 9 hours of red zone on a Saturday is obviously going to be on a Sunday rather going to be a chunk of that. Pickups, then pickups. We had you down as 150 daily pickups.
da, da, da. Right, daily average 59, but
Okay.
today was that? Yeah, today was 67, so I was a bit higher today on that one. I'm assuming that's on the phone, right? When it does pickups.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're
If I go
doing
back
less,
to last week, just because we had 3 weeks of last week, yeah, 61 last week,
okay, you
67 this week.
you pick up your phone far less than me, but you've got an Apple Watch, haven't you?
Yeah, and I don't know how that interacts and how that reacts with it. But as I've
Yeah.
said, I've got all notifications on that switched off anyway. So that's not really, I very much use it as a fitness tracker and as a watch.
Okay.
So it's,
Okay.
not as much, but I'm aware of these anyway, in the sense that I'm not very attached to my phone, and I don't like being attached to my phone, and I've always had that way about me. So I do purposely try to leave it and forget about it and do things off of it. But I also work a lot from my computer. So the way with the Apple ecosystem, I can message from my computer, I can do my emails, I can do FaceTime calls. So it kind of, in a lot of ways, when I'm at the computer, the phone is obsolete to pick up anyway, because I'm doing
Yeah,
most of it on
wait,
there.
crosses over. And then most used category you said was going to be entertainment. Was that the most used?
Well, so this is the thing. Again, a bit ski whiff this week. I've been filing my taxes this week.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it ended up being productivity and finance. That is my highest category. But yeah, entertainment and social are a close second. Again, both with about an hour, hour and a half on them.
So you said like you don't have a good relationship with your phone, as in you don't particularly like the device, and like looking at things in the week because you were premeditated, I suppose, with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Has it changed your thought on it, or like I'm a bit of an extremist, so if
Mhm.
I get an idea, I run at it, and it's like, well, I'm cutting to 30
Yeah,
minutes a
yeah.
day, and that's just how I behave. But yeah,
I've
where
been
you at with it?
pondering it all week because we've been having the discussion and we were going to talk about it today. And every time I picked up the phone, I then had a little thought about the whole thing in itself. And I think where it gets a little bit dangerous is identifying screen time between screen usage, in the sense of scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, or watching YouTube videos, we can say is a waste of time and it's not good screen time. But filing your taxes or writing a book or creating a lesson plan or whatever we're doing productively on our machines, that's, in this modern age, that's how you make your money, pay your bills. It's, for a lot of people, it's their passion, it's the way they approach things. So do you count that in the same regard in terms of screen time?
Well, that was one of the things that I was looking at and thinking about this past week as well, since going on this venture. And we've got a separate work device,
Mm.
so we've got a separate phone for work. So that didn't clock up the screen time on my device and didn't clock up the social. So what I've found this last week is I've not used my phone whatsoever for work posts on Instagram, for instance, because obviously you can have that across the devices. And I think that has been a benefit because it's prevented me or given me less opportunity to just scroll on the Instagram thing. And what it
Mm-hmm.
comes back to ultimately, what they were saying in that whole documentary, the people that have invented it, that hooking, that getting you to be engaged with it. So I think that's a good discipline to have set. And like I don't have messages and that on my laptop or computer,
Right.
only the work ones. I wasn't going on Facebook on the computer knowing that it would rack up the screen time. We've actually got a second laptop, which is like the family one that we all use. Like the girls go on it for movies, Lauren goes on it for her bits, and it's my user. And on Monday, I used up 21 minutes of social time without going on a device. So I was like, what's going on? And Lauren was on Facebook on the other device. So I quickly disconnected that device. And like, I don't use that for my Facebook at all. So there was an element this last week of using a business tool. So I don't have a problem with that. But, and I think there's control over that. It's like, for instance, we'll talk about it later, actually, our free top tools. Did you come ready with the tools, Az?
I'm good to go.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that at the end. I want to save that to the end. And for instance, a actual tool, you pick it up to use it, don't you? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about it with like a newspaper, for instance, because they said on that docu-film again how much technology has evolved. And if you take a newspaper, you used to pick up the newspaper to read, you know, the sports section or the comic strip, or you picked it up and you read it and then you put it down. You might go back to it, but it had a purpose from that point of view. What I found this last week has been difficult, not a challenge, but noticeable to change, is the need to check. I found in the start of the week, I was very much like, oh, I just need to check just to see if someone's responded, or I just need to check. And I feel like I've almost broken that habit now. And then it was the need to see approval. So I've done the post and it was the need to see approval. And what I've found now with the limit of 30 minutes is I'm getting to the end of the day and I've pretty much got about 20 minutes spare. So I do then sit down and go through everything. And even like the Insta story, it lasts for 48 hours. So I didn't need to check it in the morning. It's going to be there in the evening. And I felt that the time was much better delegated and my choice was much, much better.
Yeah, that's interesting. We came to a very similar conclusion then, because I've been trying to draw up an analogy to help me have a better use of my phone. And my thing was that whole tool thing. And I've recently been reading a book on samurai. I'm like all about the samurai at the minute. And there was this really cool myth about a certain blade that was made by a certain blacksmith. I think it was Manahana. I can't remember his name exactly. But this was the myth that if this blade was drawn, it must draw blood before it can be put back. It must draw blood upon being used. And the idea of it wasn't true. It was a myth. But the idea of it is that it's a tool and it has a very specific purpose. It's not a toy. It's not to be played with. It has a purpose. And when it's used for that purpose, which was death. And then it was put back. And it was that analogy of using something for its intended purpose and not everything that you could do with it. Because you could use your samurai sword to cut your salad, and you could use your samurai sword to, whittle some wood if you really wanted to, but it's not its intended purpose. So that was my thing. Whenever I picked it up now, I'm trying to think, what am I picking up for? What is the tool that I need, and what is the job that I'm going to do on it? And do I need to do it? And just that little bit of bringing awareness to it, I think just helps cut it down in general.
I think the technology of being able to communicate with people is really great. And I've now noticed that I've texted too much. I've sat and I've text people back and forth conversation more than that's been necessary. And you sit on that device. And then it's another example of ultimately we're becoming the tool. And none of us want to be taken as a mug, do we? And that effectively is what social media is doing, because it's using us as the tool to get them more money, ultimately. And that's what I feel one is breaking. I'm calling people now. I've always been in a good habit of calling people. I have a number of people I call each week, like yourself, on a weekly basis, like this convo, and just have a catch up. And I like that. But I found that instead of texting Lauren, for instance, that I'm coming from the dojo, I'm calling her now. And it's just a nicer, more pleasant interaction.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet that's definitely a thing, isn't it? And now with texting and emojis and the whole reaction thing, it can get a little cold. I find. Like you text someone and they just send you an emoji or a reaction back. For when it's something that just requires a yes or a no, they're great because it saves you typing and it saves time. But sometimes, like you said, just the words and hearing the words is a bit nicer, and you get a bit more from it. So I think there should be more of that. I think we should get back to using phones as phones a bit more.
Yeah, as a call. And then I wrote this down, but I don't know entirely why I wrote it down and what angle I was taking on. You know, when you write something and you look back on it and you think, why did I write that?
All my notes.
I think I've written down, or what I've written down is live in a world of fantasy. So I think that with this whole social media and everything, is we have descended into this world of fantasy and this world of lack of, for a better word, communication, and keyboard warriors and everything else. But on the other flip side, I was thinking when I wrote this is, you, like you mentioned, you enjoy comics, don't you?
Yeah.
You enjoy those sort of things. So there's nothing actually wrong with a bit of fantasy, is there?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's so the difference is fantasy and delusion and getting lost in a world that's not real. So I don't know if you've seen the film Ready Player One.
I haven't watched it yet, but I know what one you refer to.
I'd recommend it to you because I know you love a bit of nostalgia, and if you kid from the 80s and 90s, it's full of it.
It's got it all over it. Okay.
But the basic concept, without ruining the film, is it's a world where the world has kind of gone to shit. And now everyone lives in a virtual reality game. So everyone puts on these headsets and they go in this virtual reality world where they can be whoever they want to be and do whatever they want to do. And no one really lives in, you only come out of it to eat and sleep. But other than that, people just spend all their time in there. And it kind of is like a representation of Facebook and Instagram, that we just spend all of our time in these virtual worlds, putting forward what we want people to see, whilst obviously not talking and showing all the things we don't want them to see. And that then really morphs our opinion of everyone and ourselves, because you're seeing all these people that always look like they're doing so much better than you, but you don't know what's going on the other side of it. And then your self-value gets affected. And I think that's the real scary bit that needs to in some way be controlled. And I think it has to start with us, because the big guys upstairs aren't going to do it because it's going to cost them money. And that seems to be the motivation.
Yeah. I wonder if like that, what's it called? Real Player One?
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Like that's someone's image of the future, isn't it? That they portrayed into a story. I wonder if there will be a future like that where people live in like we watched Blade Runner the other week. It was my dad's birthday. We have some desserts, and Daisy said, "Oh, what was Grandad Tony's favourite film?" And it was like, "Oh, Blade Runner." So we watched that, and it's based in 2019. And like there's flying cars and everything else, and obviously the world's nowhere near what they thought it was going to be like back in the 80s, some 40 years ago. So I wonder, what year is that set? Do you know?
I don't know if it mentions it. I want to say it's 2060 something. So it's, another 30, 40 years down the line.
I wonder if by that time we'll be living in headsets and that.
Yeah, I mean, VR is a huge thing in terms of gaming now. That's, I guess the issue is, and what this film dealt with was walking around. So they all had these multi-directional treadmills in their house, and it was like standard to have one of these installed. So when you've got the headset on and you walk, you can walk and you can move. And then the more advanced guys had rigs, so that if they jumped, the rig would pull them, and if they were then floating, it would hold them in the air. So they got all the sensations of being in there. And again, the more money you had, the better experience you could have. And it goes down that line. And they reference what, I can't remember if it was what Zuckerberg said or the guy who made Twitter, but he had the guy who made this virtual reality. And he says that when we made it, we had no intention of it becoming this. So it came from a good intention. It was what we spoke about last week, about it comes from a good place, and then it grows far beyond expectation. And then the responsibility comes. But it's like you never built it with the intention of having that responsibility. but that doesn't necessarily mitigate you having the responsibility. I think that's where it gets sticky.
Yeah. I'm definitely continuing with what I said. I'm going to now make that a law in my little world that I'm going to stick to 30 minutes a day. I feel that there's a good benefit to that. And I'm going to give it to the end of this week and to make sure I can stay at it. And then I get my trainers as a reward. Cece's well off. I think Lauren's done well. She's brought hers right down. So I'll get her input on it, how she's feeling. I'm just doing it because I'm feeling a benefit from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? That's what you said last week, was that you feel like you'd be more productive. And I assume you feel you have been.
Well, I thought that would bring us back to a bit of reality, actually. I was going to ask how your week's gone. And I don't know about you, but blow the whistle, but the lockdown 2, it's killed me. This time, lockdown 2 has properly killed me. We've had a number of things go on, but I'm just done. I had to have a power nap today because I'm just wasted. How's your week been?
My week has been 0-1-0-1-0-1. I've had a day where I'm on it. I can do anything you ask. I get as much work as you've done. I can sit at a screen and type for hours, no problem. And then the following, I'll go to bed that day and I'll say to my wife, I had a really good day today. Like, I did all my to-do lists. I feel good about it. Can't wait for tomorrow. I wake up the next day, full 8 hours sleep, or for me, 2 hours sleep. And I can't do anything. I can't do a thing. I'm useless for the whole day. I just mope about trying to get things done. You get what's necessary. And then the next day I'm back on. And it's been that for a month, realistically. If I'm being honest, that's been November. And I can only put it down to lockdown. I don't really know what else you can pin that on.
Yeah. No, I've struggled with it. I'm really looking forward to getting back to our routine. But I think, we were talking earlier, weren't we, with the other guys from the club, and I think it's going to be a difficult winter. But enough of all that crap. Should we do the free things, the free top things, tools?
We promised from last week that we would give one bit of practical advice to anyone listening who did want to reduce their screen time a bit more.
Okay, yes.
Based off of what you've done so far. We
held that. Cut to 30 minutes a day and switch on all the things that don't allow you to use stuff and do it with like a hidden thing. So my practical advice is just take stock of how much time you're using, cut to 30 minutes a day, and then take off your everything off of everything that you need. For me personally, I'm quite that extreme with it.
Yeah, I agree. I found one that I've thought really useful. I'm going to do it with Anne. You can set a password, and you do set a password for when you want more time. So say Instagram, use your time, and then it says you can have 15 minutes, 1 minute, or don't use it. But you can set a password for that, which is generally for your kids, so that they have to come to you and say, Dad, can I have 10 more minutes? Me and my wife have set ourselves limits, and we're going to exchange passwords. So she's going to have the password for mine. I'm going to have the password to hers. So if I need more time, I got to go ask for it, and vice versa. And I think just a little thing like that is enough that I don't really want to go and ask for more time, like a child asking for more money. But I think that if you're struggling, if you're someone who just keeps pressing 15 more minutes, then I think that's another barrier to entry if it helps you.
Yeah. So you're both children now.
We're both children to each other, and it's a mad relationship, but it works.
So what time limit have you put on then?
So I've done 45 minutes with the intention of getting it down to half an hour. But I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can get to the end of each day with not getting the screen. You know what I mean? Without getting to the limit, but also without checking. That's my big thing. Is I don't want to spend all day going back into the screen time app to check those numbers. So I want it to just become natural that in the day I know when I've been on it half an hour and it feels like enough.
All right, that's what I'm going to do this next week then. I'm not going to actually... Well, I'm going to go till Sunday because I'm doing it as a bit of an exercise for pair trainers. And then from the start of next week, I'm not going to check the time app. And then maybe next month we'll see the difference. Yeah.
Top three tools.
Top three tools. I'd like you to go first on this one, Naz, this week. Because I'm just really excited. and I
Okay.
like waiting for surprises, even though it's my own surprise. I know what it is. I'm just really looking forward to this.
All
So,
right.
yeah, yours. You go first.
Number one is my kitchen knife.
Well,
I
you don't
love.
have it.
Well, I have to have them with me.
I've got all my tools with me.
We never mentioned having them in the physical space.
Oh, I
It's
was
a
hoping to see it. Ah.
well,
Right,
if
yeah, continue.
it's a very standard kitchen knife. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing clever, but it's sharp as heck. And I look after it, and they're just the most useful thing ever. I can't stand, I don't know about you, but it drives me mad when people have like 50 different kitchen knives. I find it really unnecessary. Like, you just need one good knife and you can do everything you need with it. So kitchen knife is number one.
Kitchen knife. That's gold. That's gold.
Yeah, I think so. But I love to cook and I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. This knife probably gets
Okay, so
used
that's where you.
more than any. Number two, this is a bit of an obvious one, I guess, but it's again rings true, is my power drill. I find that I have to get that thing out and do something with it every month. There's just always something that needs to be unscrewed, screwed, tightened, untightened, and put together, taken
And
apart.
we need a hole in the wall.
I find a reason to get that thing out and use it all the time. And I know it's just like the most quintessential tool that you can think of. But yeah. Oh, your sound has gone, sir.
Hello.
What color?
Can
You're
hear
there.
me?
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. It's a Bosch, so it's green. It's
Green.
military green, but it makes me happy. It makes me happy.
That's
And
making
then
me smile.
third tool, this has been a recent one, and you can't see it, but it's in here, is I've bought a freestanding punch bag into the house.
Oh, this is out there. Okay.
And this is out there. But when they announced that we were doing lockdown 2 here in the UK, I just said to myself, no, I'm not going another month not hitting something. Sorry, wife. Sorry, interior decorating, but we're having a punch bag in the living room for 30 days. And it's the best thing I ever bought, because every time the day gets to me, every time someone says something that I don't like, I go to it and I just let everything out. And it's been invaluable, even though at the minute it seems to be a short-term fix. But as a short-term tool goes, okay, it couldn't be better.
There. Okay,
Yeah,
I like that.
Right, I'm excited because I didn't realize we were doing show and tell. So
yeah,
those of you on the audio, you need to get on YouTube for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna describe. Well, as always, as I go over the top with all these things. First thing is a pair of keys. That's my camper. And effectively, that's my best Swiss Army knife tool, because that has absolutely everything in it. I can drive around the world. I can sleep in it. I can eat in it. I can cook. It's even got a heater in it, like burn fire. That's like the right up there. I also mentioned my watch. I've got a few watches. You like watches, don't you, Az?
We'll talk about that another week, I think. I have a love-hate relationship with watches.
Okay. I'm going to write that down so we don't forget.
We can come back to watches for sure. But I've never thought of you as a watchman, even though I've always known you to have a watch on.
I love a watch. I've always loved a watch. I inherited this from my dad. Love a watch. I've got a few dress watches, like nice watches, but you can't always wear them. They don't always, so you don't want to damage them. They don't always stand the test of time. They need blah, blah, blah. This is a G-Shock, a Casio G watch. I'm shouting out to him for it. It is just the most indestructible, brilliant watch you can want. And it's the main reason I haven't got an Apple Watch. Because I would have to wear it on my other wrist, because
you ain't taking it off.
I ain't taking this one off. The only time this comes off is when I go to bed, or if I'm putting on a dress watch instead. And I had to get this one imported because it's got an altimeter, barometer, and everything on it as well. So it's like a proper all singing, all dancing. But I'm not going to include those as tools, because I think the camper is just in its own ether, league of its own. So
hold on, we haven't even started.
We haven't even started yet. And the watch is a screen, isn't it? So I thought it kind of morphs last week's devices and this week's tools together.
All right. Number
So
one.
I can't give you a number one. All right, I'll
Sorry,
get to that in a
the
minute.
first one in
All right,
whatever
what I'm
order.
holding up is an old, like handyman waist belt tool holder. If you went into any B&Q DIY store, you could pick one of these up. But what's in it is all of my, and I'm working some shears here, is all of my bonsai tools. And like I got a little sweeper, I got a cutter for the wiring, and I every week I pick this up and I lose myself with this. This is one of my favorite home things. It's just my bonsai tools and just going to my bonsai. So yeah, and it was my dad's tool belt as well. So I thought a good use for it.
Nice.
If I had to pick one tool, it would be my hammer. Because
Classic. Good.
I think you can just do
That's the
anything with a
thumbnail
hammer.
for this week.
I appreciate a drill, but you can still get the job done with a hammer. And like
Agreed.
this, Lauren got me this the other, a few years ago now, actually, probably a long years ago. And it's actually, my one's actually personalized as well. So this is my hammer. And if you look at the head of the hammer, you can see how it's properly worked. And when it kicks off, or if it does kick off, i.e. zombies and all of that, that will be one of the first things I would get as well. Okay, on my way to getting my weapons and guns and everything else is the hammer. So yeah, if you wanted a gold, maybe we could throw. No, I've got something else for the gold, but that's way up there. Okay, so the third item is divided into 3 boxes. Okay, 3 tins. So the first tin is a little military ammo tin. So it's what ammo used to be given out in, or might still even be. And this is a fire lighting tool set. So you've got all the things that you would ever need to light a fire, from matches to a lighter, to a knife for striking, to a candle, to a bit of wick, to a bit of King Alfred cake, to everything from tinder to a fire lighting. And that again is one of my most valuable tools for like camping and everything else. These two are a bit of a mix up together. So this is my Millennium Falcon toolkit. And in this, I've got my notebook. I've got a Hudson Bay fire lighting set. I've got my Leatherman, multi-tool. I've got my Whitling tool knife. I've got my.
This is cheating to the nth degree.
I got my flame lighter, my head torch, and this is just one of the most useful tools camping. For those that are audio, basically it's a metal S. You can hang stuff with it. You can pick up hot stuff with it. It's just one of the most useful camping tools. So that's, I'm just going to put it all back neatly, otherwise it doesn't fit. So that's my second of the third items. Mm-hmm. And then my last tool tin is a man tin, okay? And it's not getting sexist, it's just lead screws and other bits, pointless stuff that I must keep, is what it actually says on the front. And in this, I've got another little utility belt, which has, so I'm proper tooled up which has my my camping knife, with all the usual blades and everything on, pencil and everything, get a striker and all of that. But it's also got my bushcraft knife. So yeah, if I've got to give a gold, probably the knife is the gold. I've made my own knife. I just haven't got around to through anvil and steel, heat and steel. But I haven't made the handle yet. You've seen my knife, haven't you? As I showed you.
I have seen your knife.
Yeah. So that will be my ultimate tool once that's finished. But it's not finished. So yeah, that's my top 3 tools. I really enjoyed that one.
3 bracket 100 tools.
I was considering rolling in my tool chest because there's.
Well, I was gonna say.
There's something about a ratchet that I really enjoy, but I picked up the hammer instead. And if I'm bringing in a chest, I'd have to bring up the what's it for the car and everything
hydraulic.
else. Yeah, and everything else. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I've actually thought about next week's, unless you've got one already. I know we've been struggling to think around food.
You look pumped up, so I'll let you take
Yeah,
it. Go
I'm
for it.
pumped. Favorite plant? Could you do that?
I can
Favorite
do
three
that.
plants?
Yeah. That's pretty easy. I'll go
Can
for
we
favorite
see
three
them next
plants.
week as well?
You can see two. I don't own one of my favorites, but yeah.
Oh, interesting. Can
Uh,
there be a photo?
there can be a photo.
Oh,
I
okay.
might even
Oh,
make a little model if I have the
I'm
time.
I'm I'm looking forward to this now. Definitely.
We're due a 1 day tomorrow, so maybe I can make it out of paper mache or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll
You
find a
do a
way.
what day tomorrow?
A 1 day.
A 1 day.
Today's been a 0.
Oh,
Tomorrow will
okay.
be a
Yeah,
1.
you
We'll,
lost me
we'll be.
completely for a moment then. Right, we said we were going to bring in a new weekly thing and mention food each week, didn't we?
You did. Have you got something in mind? And if not,
I,
I
ha-
definitely do.
I haven't, no. So I
Oh,
was
then
relying you or
right now
relying on you for that.
I can help you. So my wife is currently with a month off, and she has gone baking mad. With Christmas coming up, she has, for whatever reason, this past week gone biscuit mad. She has made 6 different types and about 500 biscuits, all being sent to Germany. I think some are coming to you. I don't know. Some are going to parents. There are biscuits everywhere. So we won't do top 3 because that's a weekly occurrence. But I will ask you, if you do you have a favorite biscuit? Are you a biscuit man? Biscuit and a
Yeah,
tea, is that a thing for you?
not biscuit and tea because I'm not a tea man,
You know, yeah.
but a biscuit can accompany my green tea of an evening,
You will have
and
biscuit with a green tea?
yeah, none of that dipping malarkey though.
Malark.
No, none of that stuff. I don't get that. Everyone to their own. Are you like a tea dipper?
Oh
Biscuit?
yeah, I'm a prolific Tetley biscuits, and yeah, it's a problem. It's a point where we don't keep them in the house because I'd
Okay.
be a lot bigger than I am. I'd be fighting heavyweight next year, so no. But yeah, I am.
Yeah, biscuits has always been a love relationship. I
Same.
do like a biscuit, and yeah, we'd need a whole episode to discuss biscuits.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
we can
if
come
if
back to it.
yeah, if I had to shorten it, then I would say at the moment, Daisy, our middle daughter, is making the best cookies. The ones that are like a little bit chewy but crispy, and she's just done these marble ones. So yeah, that's my best biscuit at the moment. But I'm going to write that down, biscuit, in my notes as well. So
And I'll tell you what it
that's
kind of
good.
takes you on to, and you've mentioned it there, is the homemade thing. Why is everything always a bit better when it's homemade? Like, other than just the obvious of it's your daughter made the biscuit, but it's generally the thing, right? Homemade is just superior to anything else.
Yeah, yeah,
I've always found that interesting. Well, and that's
yeah.
regardless of what it is, right? Food, someone makes you something, someone fixes something. The home
Well,
touch is a
it's
powerful
like
thing.
food camping, isn't it? Camping food's always pretty straightforward, but it always tastes good, doesn't it? Especially when it's been, or like barbecues, isn't it? When it's
Yeah.
been cooked on that flame. Did you bring a
It's
quote
primal.
this week? As I brought a
I,
quote.
you know what? I had my top 3. I had my food choice, and I forgot my quote. You're going to go first, while I
Yeah, I've got
pull
it,
one out of the
and
bank.
I've got it tool related as well. So, when the only tool you own is a hammer, every problem begins to resemble a nail.
Whoa, that's a very good
And
one.
that's by Abraham Maslow. He was the guy that did the Maslow's laws. The pyramid. I'm
The
pretty sure we
pyramid.
spoke about that before. Yeah, I didn't realize it was him that wrote it. I just wrote in Toll's quote, and that's what came up. So
Right. Dun, 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 dun. Quote. All right. I'm enjoying this one recently. This has been a book I've been reading. Most days, we'd rather be wrong with the crowd than be right by ourselves. And I don't relate to what he's saying, but I completely understand what he's saying. And I see it all the time with people, and it drives me a little bit bananas. this kind of sheep mentality and following the crowd and just kind of nodding along and smiling because it's kind of the easy thing to do, and it drives me up the wall. So it was nice to find a quote that kind of summarized it. Very off topic for what we've been talking about today. We've had a very light and breezy day, which has been nice.
Yeah, it's been good, hasn't it?
There's just a little bit of grump
Yeah.
mixed in there. Just a grunt at the end to sum it up and bring it back home.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go sort all my problems out now. And for those that can't see us on audio, I have my hammer ready.
See, this is where I needed my kitchen knife, wasn't it? So we could just have you with a thing and me with a kitchen. Well, I must have. I've always got a blade handy.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll do for the thumbnail. And we got something. Yeah. Right, dude. Well, we'll catch up with you next week, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, like us, spend all your time on social media, listening to us, and get absorbed into the not real reality world.
If you're going to be on social media, at least be on our social media, and then it's fine.
Yeah, and then you're good.
Peace out.
Peace out.